UPF
So actually, the second Tuesday of every month, we have this introduction to UPF. And sometimes we put a lot of effort in and we get a lot of people to come, and then we have one type of experience. Another time we just allow people to come who want to come. And we've had some wonderful people come through that, and they've been our friends for years and years afterwards. So here's hoping tonight will be like that. Thank you very much. And we really appreciate meeting you in December as well. Thank you. We're going to start with a video. This is, we had a World Summit in 2020, just before the COVID, literally days before there started to be restrictions and problems. In February of 2020, and this was shown at that time.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I can start off from here, can't I? So here we go. And is there any reason why?
Maybe you need to mirror your displays rather than it might be.
So to mirror. Do you want to come here and
Yeah.
do that?
I mean, what can you do it from you? That's what I'm asking.
You'd have had to download it before.
Project, and then probably easier just to duplicate. And then you get.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's definitely
And
duplicated.
you can make it enlarged.
Okay, then.
It's a touch screen. I got fat fingers.
UPF had its inaugural assembly on September 12, 2005, at the Lincoln Center in New York City. Reverend Sun Myung Moon delivered the keynote address.
In closing, I ask you to devote your best efforts for the development and the success of the Universal Peace Federation. Thank you. Thank you.
After UPF was founded, there was a series of world tours where the message of UPF was taken literally to every corner of the world.
That it is time for all nations and religions to break down their barriers. Through this, the era of one family under God will arrive and last forever.
UPF is God's cherished hope. The founders spoke repeatedly of an international peace highway connecting the world from Santiago, Chile to London, across the Bering Strait, what has come to be known as the Peace Road, and a vision for a renewed United Nations. UPF emerged on the foundation of decades of programs initiated by its founders and carried out in all parts of the world. Its growth and development over the past 15 years has been dramatic, if not miraculous, owing in large part to the work of tens of thousands of ambassadors for peace, peace activists, and volunteers who draw from all nationalities, religions, ethnicities, cultures, and traditions, bound together by a vision of peace, a vision of humanity as one global family under one God. The range of programs over the years has been both broad and expansive, from character education to strengthening the family, from conflict prevention to conflict resolution, from poverty reduction to environmental stewardship, from interfaith dialogue to youth service initiatives, from support of the United Nations to partnerships with the African Union, and a wide range of international organizations and NGOs. UPF has a global, multinational, multi-faith network of more than 100,000 ambassadors for peace who support and contribute to the mission and works of UPF. UPF's highest award, the Leadership and Good Governance Award, has been given to distinguished leaders the world over. The World Summit Series is UPF's flagship program involving the highest level of leaders from around the globe, including current and former heads of state and government, to address the critical challenges facing humanity.
Very appropriate that we are here on the 100th anniversary of Reverend Moon's birth, because out of the devastation of World War II and the Korean War, he and his bride found the courage to dream that they could achieve something. And it is amazing what they have created together.
programs have been successfully held in Korea, the USA, Senegal, South Africa, Nepal, Cambodia, and other nations. The most recent structural innovation within UPF has been the creation of a set of associations dedicated to collaboration among leaders from various fields. These pillar associations are: the International Summit Council for Peace was initiated by UPF co-founder Dr. Hak Jahan Moon in 2019 on the occasion of World Summit 2019 in Seoul, Korea. ISCP is an international network of current and former heads of state and government. The International Association of First Ladies, IAFLP, a project of the ISCP, affirms and uplifts the unique role of First Ladies in contributing to peace and development. IAFLP brings together current and former First Ladies from throughout the world, drawing upon their experience and wisdom as women leaders and as role models who serve their countries in significant ways. The International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, is a worldwide association of parliamentarians which provides a forum to bring their experience and wisdom to bear in the search for solutions to our world's problems. UPF maintains that any successful strategy for peace must take into account the spiritual dimension of our human identity, experience, and interactions. Based on this worldview, UPF initiated the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development, IAPD. The International Media Association for Peace, IMAP, represents a worldwide professional network of journalists who support a socially responsible and moral media. IMAP recognizes the vital role that journalists play in providing objective reporting to foster an informed citizenship. The International Association of Academicians for Peace, IAAP, is a global interdisciplinary academic initiative aimed at contributing toward the realization of a world of lasting peace. IAAP is dedicated to building professional networks for academicians to foster a world of peace. The International Association for Peace and Economic Development, IAED, affirms the role of businesses, business leaders, and investors to make the world a better place. In early 2020, UPF convened a rally of hope featuring dignitaries including Pastor Paula White, Cambodia Head of State His Excellency Hun Sen, President Macky Sall of Senegal, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, former US Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and many others.
I believe that the Universal Peace Federation and its broad set of partnerships in the realms of politics, religion, academia, media, economy, arts, women and youth serve as a good model. I believe the Universal Peace Federation will become a cornerstone to build lasting peace around the world and a heavenly unified Korea based on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values.
Celebrating 15 years, UPF will continue to grow through service, dialogue, and collaboration, guided by its spiritual and moral vision of one family under God.
So I think it's wonderful. That video kind of shows like drawing all the parts of UPF together, both our worldwide activities, and the World Summit brings people from all over the world and most nations of the world, but also the different areas of activities, and you'd see the different pillars. These pillars are parliamentarians and religious leaders and academics, business leaders, and so on, youth, and so many different parts. But all these different parts, they have to come together centered on something, or else they're all just doing their own thing. They have to come together centered on something, and we have some basic principles that we talk about, and we'll talk about it in a bit more depth on the 21st during our one-day seminar here. But tonight we just go through 5 basic principles, and in a sense it's quite simple. But they're the basic parts that kind of hold us together. And while we're the UK branch of the Universal Peace Federation, we know if we went to Mongolia, for example, they would be holding to the same kind of principles. It's like going to Starbucks. You know what you're going to get, no matter where you are in the country or the world. There's a lot of consistency based on these basic principles. So the first is that we are centered on a divine being, a God, a creator, Allah. There's so many different names and titles. Even within Islam, there's this painting of the 99 names of God, or of Allah. So there are many different names, but this divine spark, this of the Creator, this we believe a parental love, a being that loves all of us. And if we come close, or the closer we can come to that being, the more that we can come closer to each other as well. That's how it should be, that God is the one being that brings us closer and closer. Because if we are united with that being of love, the being of divinity, then we also have the love to love our fellow human beings. But sometimes they're not so easy to love, right? Because they're like us. We all have our flaws and our difficulties, but the closer we come to that being of infinite love, the greater capacity we have to love each other, and the greater horror and revulsion we have to do anything which would hurt another human being. So we see God, to call God, this divine being, as a parental being, and we call like a true parent is a parental being who loves unconditionally. So next, Margaret, are we doing a tag team? Okay. You don't want to talk about this one?
I want to talk this topic.
You want to talk about this one? Okay.
But do you want to do the spirituality and all that? Or can we-
You go ahead.
Should I do the two after each other?
Okay. You want to do next?
We've not talked today. we just either he does it, I do it, or we do it together.
I'm flexible.
No, because I want to say that the most important and very deep impact that these principles have had on me is this one, that human beings are essentially spiritual in nature. You know, we have a body and whatever, you know, this is a simple thing, but I want to testify to that. You have a mind, you know, but also you have a body. So there is nothing that can overcome the understanding of that you, your body, yourself, you are a spiritual being. There is no doubt about it, because I have been a witness to this. When I kind of heard about it, I thought, why is it that it's important, you know? Why is spirituality? I wasn't so religious when I was being taught these things. I didn't have a special relationship with God or anything. But as I understood, somebody said to me, you wake up in the morning, what do you think? Oh, I'm late for work, where are my papers? And you know, oh, what can we eat tonight? Let me put something in the oven. You think of very physical, very basic things. But if you wake up in the morning, you have to think about, where is your spirit? What is it doing? Do you have one? You know, we all have one, but we have to actually work hard at it to experience the same feeling that God wants us to experience. We have got a body and a spiritual body as well. Our spiritual body works on the level of us, our body, you know. Our spiritual body has to grow, has to understand, and has to come to amazing heights if you really work at it, you know. So therefore, what I feel day and night, that what is important is for people to understand that we are a spiritual. Fundamentally, men and women are spiritual beings. They're not just for going to work, for doing this thing, for doing that. And then when we catch this feeling, you know, that there is this, your body, your spirit grows. And the key point is, the more we understand each other, the more we love each other, the more our spirit grows. So therefore, from somebody who didn't have a spirit, in my thinking, in my heart, in my experience, I completely 180 degrees changed and put the most importance on my spirit. Because without spirit, there is no understanding of God and the principles of the other world, you know. So I would say that if you wake up in the morning, please think of what you want to do today. What is a good thing you want to do today? What's the good thing to raise your spirituality? If we are like a tree, you know, and the fruit is the spirit, you know. And if the spirit is not developed, it's not fruit anymore, you know, it's dry. So therefore, we have to, even though you are in the realm, I'm in the realm of this world for 40 years, I still have to work at it, you know. Each time we have to get a better level of spirituality and reach the heights that can actually impact on other people. To teach other people, or not by lecturing, but by giving love, by giving understanding, by having give and take that proves to them that they are spiritual in nature. I have had many experiences, particularly for somebody who didn't believe in anything with God. Many experiences. He was telling me, yes, I'm here, I'm with you. And I couldn't even understand that there is a God at that time. Then just the moment that I was allowed to have a spiritual growth, and I was allowed to have an opportunity to work on these principles of life, I became another person. And I will never change it with anything. For me, the most important thing in the world is love. True love, true love and true understanding of others, If you don't have that, you're half a man or half a woman. So it's an important thing to consider. This comes from spirituality. It doesn't come from learning. It comes from understanding of God, understanding of our surrounding, understanding of what is required of us to make the world a better place. So I would say, there's many things to say, but I would like to think of what Robin was going to say. Wait a minute, where are you? I can't see. Oh, this is number 3. Okay, good. So in my experience, every day, for example, Robin, before he joined our movement, he was doing what? Transcendental meditation. Yeah, that was his path, And God can then use that on that basis to make him grow even more. But somebody who has no basis at all, like me, I was Christian, I was going to Sunday school, but for years I didn't think about God. And I started crying when I understood God and God's gift of love and God's gift of spirituality. I was crying all the time, Why didn't I know this before? Why did I do that? But you know what? It's never too late. Even at my age, somebody can start, can start understanding. Because ultimately, our life is above. This is a very temporary life, but we have an eternal life. But unfortunately for us, if we don't know it, it is what we do on earth, that will take you to that spiritual height. Not what you do in heaven. In heaven, you'll already be welcome, But to be real understanding of God's heart, that's where Father Moon is very big expert in understanding God's heart. He talked to us, he cries for God, because he says that you people, we really have to understand God gave us life, God gave us love, God gave us praise, but God needs our love. It cannot be, can you love by yourself if you didn't have your wife? Just love, no, you can never be happy alone. So God needs us. It is wrong to think that God doesn't need us. The only reason why I became spiritual is because I felt from the understanding of the principles that God needs all of us. God needs Constantine, Robin, and Ernst. There's nobody else like you. You are an amazing person made by God, that you can give God the amazing love that he deserves and help that he deserves to make the world a better place. Anyway, I'm talking too much, I think. Okay, the third principle is marriage is about the family. But what we think is marriage is a sacred institution. People marry these days. After a few months, a little bit of fight, after a few other months, and then suddenly they say, oh, there's this other person, much more understanding. I'll leave this one, I'll go there. This is not marriage. Marriage is a sacred institution, that you need God's blessing on your marriage. You need to bring God in the center of your marriage. And when I understood that, I cried more, I cried rivers, because I loved my husband, but I never realized that the most important element of your marriage is bringing God in your life. And when that happened, amazing things happened to me. Amazing. So therefore, although people get married and there are some good families, they don't know God, because there's probably long term of Christianity in these places, and there's something sipped in their if you like, their understanding. But it's never any equality to understanding that God wants you to have one wife, one husband. God wants you to love each other and bring God into the family. God wants you to love your children, but only by making a good family can you help others And you see, now the family is really eroded. We are in danger, I would say to you. We are in danger of collapse. When the family is correct and working well, the society is good. We understand that the family is the unit of society, the most important unit of society. If you work in the right way, the way we work is you love your husband and the husband loves the wife. We have positions equal in value but interchangeable. Sometimes you are boss for something and sometimes your wife is boss for something else. So it's a matter of respecting and loving one another and completing one another, not fighting with one another. I mean, you're not good at something, but your wife is. I'm not good at something. My husband is great in it. So, thank you. My husband had everything I don't have, and I have some of the things that my husband doesn't have. So it was like a complementary relationship, you know. So most people don't understand. They want to compete and go to the top and, you know, this kind of thing. But we are very lucky to have this understanding of the value of the family. In fact, we do in the family many things, you know, generally speaking. But in our case, Robin, where are we? Strong name. Okay. It's right. I'm not very sure how it's looking. Oh, it's there. So therefore, marriage is sacred institution, and the family is the school of love. You know how it is when you have a baby? She only wants to love. All it takes love, don't you think? Cries, you get the milk, everything. When the baby grows a little bit, it's a second level, you know? And then they start little give and take, understanding the other sibling or the parents trying to exchange love, yeah? And then this love continues again, and you become a parent yourself, you know? And when the child becomes a parent, then he understands God's heart, you know? Because God is parent of mankind, you know? So you feel the unconditional love that's required to do things. But good families do lots of good work, like mitzvah, like the Muslims do other things, and Christians do other things, and they have traditions of serving others, yeah? But doing the action without understanding is not enough. But just praying and saying, oh God, we will do this, we will do that, and not doing is not enough. If you pray and you do nothing, it's almost nothing. The idea and ideal will die. So we have to put our love and our action together to get a good thing, yeah? And not do it as a duty. It must run as if you know.
Natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Second nature, it's a default, basically.
Yeah. And if that happens, imagine how beautiful it would be if it happens to all the world, you know? This is our desire to bring people together. You know, I'm sure you don't know how many times, you've come very few times, but when you come, you'll see people of all nations here, you know? Every different color, different country, different race, different religion. We don't care. We care that we love one another and we love God. That we lend a hand to the person who needs help. And that somebody who needs help, be free to ask, you know. And we have to be free to give. So what I would say to you is that if we can bring people together in a blessing of marriage, it will multiply the power of God. You know, for example, you got married in, what is it? Not Christian, Orthodox Church of, me too, I'm Armenian. So I was in Orthodox Church as well. But you know, the other one is Muslim, the other one is Sikh. Believe me, if they come together, even after they're married, to re-bless their marriage in front of God and us, let's say, you know, somebody is giving, we have to do like this and like that, and we have to be true to God and true to our family, la la. It is such a different thing when you're all together in front of God. And we try to do this kind of blessings. It's very useful. It's very good to see how people can work together. And if we have enough help, we can impact the government's laws and whatever. What am I doing, Robin? No. No, is there another one?
It was coming in little bits and parts.
Oh yeah, come number 4. Well, all I want to say is that the family, without the family, there is no society.
I get that, and it's actually, I didn't know anything about the principles, and it's like everything that you're saying, it's just so resonate with me, and that's what's happening at Taking the family now. I'm not gonna go into details,
I know.
because if you get control of the families, the kids, then this collapsing is the first step of collapsing the society. It will not happen. We are already the good side, won, we're on the right track, but they attack the family values. You don't need the parents, you don't need to parental consent for sex, for all these, for jobs, etc. But it's not going to happen. I see though it's happening. It's important. And I'm impressed that you mentioned that, because I haven't heard any other spiritual tradition mentioned that. I understand yin and yang, female and male and female energy create even more things. Yeah, it's more powerful. From that aspect, I understand it energetically, but I haven't seen anyone else
So
mention that.
on the 21st, they'll go into this in a lot more detail.
But you can come in July.
In July?
Is it July or June? The next one.
Oh, you can't make it on the 21st.
You can come
Sure.
if a few people together, because he's going
I see.
to
Okay.
the mountain. Mountain climbing. For sun, it's important.
We have a wonderful book. It was has an amazing set of editors it's called an anthology of comparative religion. It's sacred scriptures. It'll be on our bookshelf, but sorry, I've got it up.
You produce it here at our organization?
The organization internationally did it. So it had top editors of different religions, and they Margaret. So then they took different themes. I could even send you a PDF. And they pulled out scriptures, key scriptures from different faiths, on humility, on repentance, on forgiveness, on so many different issues. And then there was sections on each with an editorial. And it's amazing to see how common all these scriptures are. One thing is common to all religions is this idea of the golden rule, that what you do to others, what you want others to do to you, you should do to others.
Oh, yeah, don't do to others what you don't want to be done.
Yes. So, in a sense, there's a realm of mystery that when you have good action towards others, even when you live for the sake of others, as a parent, you're in that all the time. You're just pulled for all night. Daddy, can you take me here? Daddy, can you do this?
Without expecting anything, as it says there, you don't do it to expect anything.
Right.
Teaching them love so they will do the same to the rest.
Right. And it's such a natural thing. So living for the sake of others also brings this realm of mystery, because whatever you give out in some way always comes back, and it could be vibration, resonance, there's a whole realm of it. So we're just touching on the surface here, but there's this realm of mystery. Whatever you give out, somehow you think, this is very similar. Somehow it comes back. I did this to someone and this came back to me. Sometimes it's very difficult to discern that because you did that, then this happened to you. There's no way to really Intuitively.
Was it that? No. But maybe.
Maybe,
But
yeah.
it feels good in your heart. You do the right thing without expecting. And
Exactly, exactly. So there's this mysterious realm, and this happens on an individual level. I'm just going to go to the next one. Here we go. To a family level, even organizations, communities, nations, and world. Oops, let's have that back. So you could be giving to other individuals, to other members of your family, to members of different communities you're involved in, to people in your nation, to people in other nations all around the world. You could be doing the same at any particular time. You could be helping to solve resentments which were sown by your ancestors because of slavery, or Britain has a lot to make up for, shall we say. So that, in a sense, you could be giving on many different levels. I have one example that just, to me, was so obvious on an organizational level. So Universal Peace Federation here in the UK, one time we were approached by a Mongolian women's professional group, and their president of this civic organization was just around the corner, living there, and she came to know us. And she came and said, look, we want to do something because there are no cervical scans in Mongolia, particularly in the rural areas. So we'd like to raise some money so that we can support people to go around and do cervical scans for women in rural Mongolia. And she said, could you help us get started? We'd like to have some meetings to get going. So we said, fine, we'll have a meeting here and a meeting in Parliament. And we had a meeting in this room around I think it was around International Women's Day, probably 10 years ago now. And we invited some people, they invited some people, they invited some speakers, we did too. And then the day came and this room was pretty much full. And I found myself sitting next to someone I'd never met before. But as we were talking, we realized we had so much in common. We knew this person in common, as you were saying before, and we knew that person in common, that person. And we could see that we were really well connected, really well interconnected within our friends and networks and our common interests. And she also heard praise of us from the Mongolian women's group leaders who thanked us so much for helping them to get going with their project. So we then became really close friends with this person. And she was involved with a group in Brussels representing the UK. It was a council that met in an institution in Brussels supporting the European Commission. And we got to know her. She's often spoken at our events afterwards. But then one day, about 3 years later, we were looking to do an event in Brussels. And we had European Parliament booked. We were bringing people, but we wanted somewhere to meet the day before, or day after, I've forgotten which. But it's quite expensive to meet in a hotel in Brussels. You need to do quite a bit of very good budget to do this well. So I remember this person was working in Brussels. I mentioned to her that we were coming and we were looking for a place. She said, well, you can use our venue. We've got a meeting room upstairs. It'll fit 100 people or so. And all I would need to do is book it as a member. I can book it. And it just hit me. Look, we supported this other group, had an event. Then we met this person through them, and then they helped us have an event in Brussels when we really needed it a few years later. I thought, wow, that's amazing, because when you live for the sake of others, then others will help you. Somehow it goes around. And the more that you give out on different levels in different ways, the more it comes back. And it's just an amazing level of interrelationship where if you're approached by someone, it's very wise to want to help them, because particularly if you have the capacity to, then you're always sowing up good fortune for the future.
So, because I worked a lot in catering, post hotels, parties, also,
Yeah.
etc. So by just giving the service, I was getting paid. I didn't expect any tips and stuff. It was already in the service. So it's feeding the soul, and also these people, when you help, the blessings that they send you back, that's the healing. Instead of sending curses, they send you blessings. But it's difficult for people to understand if they haven't experienced it. For example, on the BNI, and I finish with a parenthesis, business networking, the founder, Ivan Meisner, he said, givers gain. Now, people don't realize that if I give, what I'm going to take. No, you just give, you don't expect anything. Of course, if someone takes the piece, you give, it's only taking. But you give it, don't expect anything. But you need to experience it. Saying is one thing, but if you experience it, then you understand it. I think it's the blessing that you get just back, and also one of the spiritual teachers said the whole game is being of service to humanity, because we are cells of the body of the one creator. So I completely get it. Anything you said before, and that is again second nature. I completely get it.
You're a spiritual person, and you can tell.
That's why I like to spend time with people.
Yeah, it just it saves you energy. You're growing together. It's not
That's
we're
right.
avoiding the rest, but it's just
No.
you don't need to explain yourself. I like people who are psychic, to be honest, because they can just read. As they have anything, they can pick up the energy, and I love it. I don't care if they scam me, because they can see
Sure.
I'm genuine.
Sure. So sometimes, yeah, that's the source of a good network is that you create relationships based on these kinds of principles and
values.
this kind of initiative. Yeah.
I didn't know this. You're a very spiritual organization. I heard you're about peace, but I didn't
We're
realize
about
you
peace.
have deep roots. Because as I said before, I said if you're not spiritually aware. I didn't know. I didn't do any research. That was genuine. I
Sure.
spent my life in
Why
the keys.
should you not learn?
Actually, our founders, they found, their spirituality was that 5% of the budget was used for our own organization, and 95, having events and programs and financing initiatives which would help the wider world, centered on our ideals. And actually, we grew a lot through that. We grew greatly. Another principle that I wanted to mention was interreligious international cooperation is essential for world peace. And
It's the fifth, because it doesn't say 5.
Yes, it is.
It is the fifth.
it is the fifth.
Okay, that's
Yes.
fine. That's fine.
And this particular quote is also a very good one. If religions do not give a priority for interreligious dialogue and harmony and practice these, dialogue and harmony among civilizations will be impossible. So if we want to build world peace, we can't center it just on Christianity. We can't center it just on any one religion. We have to find the essence, particularly that's in common, and find these common aspects that we can work together on. And then those which are different, particularly the faith statements, we can experience together. We can enjoy with each other. We could celebrate each other's holy events and holy parts of their calendar. Our life becomes bigger and richer and more vibrant through experiencing the different holidays and the different occasions of the different faiths. London is great for that because we have widespread of,
So cosmopolitan.
yeah. But, yeah, we,
No, I just wanted to say that one good example, it was in Spain. What was the old capital in Spain?
And in Andalusia.
Next to Madrid, you go with
Toledo.
Toledo, it was the capital. They have Jewish, Christians, and Muslims living in harmony. I personally, what I get to realize, I have a lot of friends from all the religions, is when the politics get into the religion and use the religion for political gains, like they done in the old days. People are found to get well with different religions. It's just a matter of the politics not to get involved into the religion. I think that's the big challenge we have nowadays.
Yeah, but I feel that over and above that, there is no way to go forward except together.
Yeah.
You know, if the Greek people don't go forward together, we'll squabble all the time.
So it's hard work actually to do interfaith activity, but if there are politicians which are just appealing to one group and making antagonism with other groups and minority groups, somehow people have to work harder to make those roots deeper, and then they will naturally be in the majority if they can bring those roots together, those groups, the different communities of a nation together.
On the email that I sent you, so thank you, nice to meet you after the meeting. At the bottom I have something great Alexander mentioned after he conquered all the known world, and he finished, he said, I will not judge you from the color, religion, language, etc. The people with the skills, the people who have the skills, they will take the positions, not based on color, nationality, etc. So that's why I thought that's very something common with what you're doing. So we need to offer everyone the opportunity based on their skills, not the dress and stuff and the values.
I think that was this part of the presentation. Raymond, I think we can end the Zoom part now.
Okay. And the stream.
Yeah. Thank you. Just want to show some things because it'll explain a bit more about Universal Peace Federation and our activities. One is that we have what's called a general consultative status with ECOSOC, the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. And this has two levels of consultative status. One is special, which is maybe because you have a common area with the United Nations, but maybe not so broad. And then general is you have many common areas with United Nations, common principles and policies and initiatives, and they can see you can support a wide range of them across the world. So generally it takes some time to build up to have this kind of status. There are 140 different NGOs in the world who have this status.
So because I know United Nations, but do they help initiatives that bring people, as I say, United Nations to come together?
Yeah, this is because in every country we have people on the ground. So they can ask us things, you know. They can say what's happening there, etc., etc. So therefore we are in the United Nations because of this consultative state.
This is I thought it's only for countries, government, only for countries.
No, I understand what you mean. United Nations is a national organization. It's United Nations. But they need to have subgroups within it, and those are the NGOs. And they more and more they are taking a role in supporting, helping, sometimes acting as a conscience, as advocates, those who promote and show and highlight problems or areas that need to change. So there are many. We, because UPF is in many countries, and His Holiness, the current Pope, he comes from Buenos Aires in Argentina. He knew us from there, from our interfaith work in Argentina. So then we've been able to meet him in the Vatican, etc. This is some of those meetings.
When there